3 years after their divorce, one text message would either heal their broken hearts or shatter them completely. Lisa sat at the corner table of the hotel bar, her fingers wrapped around a glass of wine she hadn't touched. The ice cubes clinked softly as her hands trembled slightly. She checked her phone for the 5th time in 10 minutes. 7:30. He would be here any moment. The bar was dimly lit, filled with the usual crowd of business travelers and couples on date nights. Soft jazz music played in the background, mixing with the gentle hum of conversations. Lisa tried to blend in, but her heart was beating so fast she was sure everyone could hear it. 3 years. It had been 3 years since she last saw Alex in person. 3 years since their divorce papers were signed. 3 years since they decided they were better off apart. But here she was, wearing the blue dress he used to love, waiting for him like nothing had changed. The hotel lobby doors opened, and there he was. Alex walked in, scanning the room until his eyes found hers. For a moment, time stopped. He looked different. His hair was shorter, and he had a few gray streaks at the temples that weren't there before. He was wearing a dark suit that fit him perfectly, and when he smiled, those same dimples appeared that had made her fall in love with him years ago. "Hi," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. His voice was exactly the same, warm and deep. "Hi yourself," Lisa replied, trying to sound casual, but her voice came out softer than she intended. They stared at each other for a moment, both unsure of what to say next. The waiter came over, and Alex ordered a whiskey. When the waiter left, the silence stretched between them again. "You look beautiful," Alex said finally. "That dress? I remember it." Lisa felt heat rise to her cheeks. "You look good too. Different but good." "Different how?" "More serious, I guess. Like you've been through things." Alex laughed, but it wasn't entirely happy. "Haven't we all?" The waiter brought his drink, and Alex took a sip. Lisa finally lifted her wine glass and took a small taste. The wine was sweet, but her mouth felt dry. "So," Alex said, "how's the marketing world treating you?" "Can't complain. I made senior director last year. The company's growing fast." Lisa was grateful for the safe topic. Work was something she could talk about without getting emotional. "That's amazing. I always knew you'd make it big." "What about you? Still designing buildings that touch the sky?" Alex grinned. "Something like that. I just finished a project in Seattle. A residential complex that's supposed to be environmentally friendly. Solar panels, rainwater collection, the whole thing." "That sounds like you. Always trying to save the world, one building at a time." They fell into easier conversation after that. Lisa told him about her latest campaign for a tech startup. Alex described the challenges of building in Seattle's rainy climate. They talked about their families, their friends, the changes in the city they both once called home. But underneath it all, there was something else. Every time their eyes met, Lisa felt a jolt of electricity. When Alex laughed at something she said, she remembered all the evenings they spent talking until sunrise. When he leaned forward to listen to her, she caught a hint of his cologne, the same one he'd worn when they were married. "Do you remember?" Alex said, swirling his whiskey. "That time we got caught in the rain outside Tony's restaurant?" Lisa smiled despite herself. "You mean when you insisted we could make it to the car without an umbrella?" "Hey, the weather app said it was going to be sunny. We were soaked within 10 seconds, but you were laughing so hard you could barely walk, because you looked like a wet dog." They both laughed now, and for a moment it felt like old times, like they were still the young couple who thought love could conquer anything. "I drove by our old apartment building last week," Alex said quietly. Lisa's smile faded. "Did you?" "They painted it yellow. Remember how we always said we'd paint it yellow if we owned it?" "I remember." Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper. "There were kids playing in the courtyard where we used to have our morning coffee." Lisa nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She remembered those mornings. Alex would wake up early and make coffee for both of them. They'd sit on their tiny balcony planning their day, talking about their dreams. "Lisa," Alex said, and something in his tone made her look up. "Why did you call me?" She had been dreading this question all evening. When she found out Alex was in town for a conference, she had stared at his contact information in her phone for 3 days before finally sending a text. Even now, she wasn't sure she could explain it. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I saw the conference announcement online. Your name was listed as one of the speakers. I wanted to see you. Just to see me? Lisa met his eyes. Maybe more than that. Alex was quiet for a long moment. He finished his whiskey and set the glass down carefully. I think about you, he said. More than I should. More than I want to. Alex, I know we both said it was over. I know we agreed it was the right thing to do. But sitting here with you now, I'm not sure we were right. Lisa felt tears threatening. We hurt each other so much, we did. But maybe we were just too young to know how to fix it. Maybe we gave up too easily. Or maybe we're just remembering the good parts and forgetting why it didn't work. Alex reached across the table and touched her hand gently. Maybe, but what if we're not? Lisa looked down at their hands. His fingers were warm and familiar. She remembered how they used to hold hands while walking, how he would squeeze her fingers when he was nervous, how he would trace patterns on her palm when they were watching movies. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I. They sat like that for a while, hands touching across the table, both lost in their own thoughts. The bar was getting busier around them, but they barely noticed. Finally, Alex spoke. Would you like to get some dinner? Somewhere quieter? Lisa hesitated. She knew that if she said yes, if they spent more time together, it would be harder to pretend this was just a friendly meeting between two people who used to be married. But looking at Alex, seeing the hope in his eyes, she realized she didn't want to pretend anymore. Yes, she said. I'd like that very much. The walk to Lisa's apartment took 20 minutes, but it felt like both an eternity and an instant. They strolled slowly through the familiar streets, talking about everything and nothing. Alex pointed out new shops that had opened since he left town. Lisa showed him where they were building a new park where the old gas station used to be. But underneath their casual conversation, there was an electric current running between them. Every time their hands accidentally brushed while walking, Lisa felt a spark. When Alex laughed at something she said, she remembered how that sound used to be the best part of her day. As they reached her building, Lisa hesitated at the entrance. The smart thing would be to say goodbye here, to thank him for dinner and go upstairs alone. But the evening felt unfinished, like a book with missing pages. Would you like to come up for coffee? She heard herself asking. I mean, if you're not too tired from traveling. Alex looked at her for a long moment. Are you sure? Lisa wasn't sure about anything anymore, but she nodded. Just coffee. And maybe we can talk more. The elevator ride to the 5th floor was quiet. Lisa fumbled with her keys, suddenly nervous about Alex seeing her space. When they were married, they had shared everything. Now her apartment was entirely hers, filled with choices he hadn't been part of making. Nice place, Alex said as he stepped inside. He looked around at the cream-colored walls, the plants by the windows, the bookshelf filled with novels and marketing textbooks. Thanks. I moved here about a year after. Lisa trailed off. She didn't need to finish the sentence. After our divorce, Alex said gently. It's okay to say it, Lisa. We're both adults. Lisa nodded and walked to the kitchen. Coffee? Or I have tea if you prefer. Coffee's fine. As Lisa prepared the coffee maker, Alex wandered around her living room. He stopped at a small table near the window where she kept a few framed photos. You kept this, he said softly. Lisa looked over and saw him holding a picture of them from their honeymoon in Italy. They were sitting at a small cafe in Rome, both laughing at something the photographer had said. They looked so young, so completely happy. I keep it because it reminds me of a good time in my life, Lisa said, bringing 2 mugs over to the couch. Not because I'm stuck in the past. Alex set the photo down carefully and joined her on the couch. They sat at opposite ends, the space between them feeling both too far and too close. This feels strange, Lisa admitted. Having you here? Strange how? Like you belong here, but also like you're a visitor. She took a sip of her coffee and looked at him. Does that make sense? Alex nodded. It makes perfect sense. I feel like I know you completely, but also like you're someone I just met. We've both changed. Have we? Or have we just gotten better at hiding who we really are? Lisa considered this. Maybe both. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, drinking their coffee and looking out at the city lights through her window. Finally, Alex spoke. Lisa, can I ask you something? And will you give me an honest answer? I'll try. Do you ever think about what would have happened if we had tried harder? If we had gone to counseling instead of just giving up? Lisa set down her mug and pulled her legs up under herself. This was the conversation she had been avoiding for 3 years, but maybe it was time. All the time, she said quietly. But Alex, we weren't just having small problems. We were living like strangers who happened to share an address. I know, and I know a lot of that was my fault. It wasn't just your fault. We both made mistakes. Alex turned to face her fully. What mistakes did you make? Because from where I'm sitting, I was the one who was never home. I was the one who missed our anniversary dinner because of a client meeting. I was the one who chose work over you over and over again. Lisa felt tears starting to form. And I was the one who stopped telling you how I felt. I was the one who built walls instead of having difficult conversations. I was the one who decided you didn't care instead of asking you to care more. You built walls because I kept hurting you, and you kept choosing work because I kept pulling away. Lisa wiped her eyes. We were both trapped in a pattern and neither of us knew how to break it. Alex moved closer to her on the couch. But we're different now, are we? I am. Lisa, I spent the first year after our divorce throwing myself into work even harder. I thought if I could just build the most amazing buildings, win the biggest awards, make the most money, then I could prove that choosing my career over our marriage was worth it. And I was miserable. I won 3 design awards last year, and I had nobody to celebrate with. I got promoted to lead architect at my firm, and the first person I wanted to call was you. Alex ran his hand through his hair. I realized that professional success doesn't mean anything if you don't have someone to share it with. Lisa nodded. I understand that feeling. I got my promotion last year, and when my boss told me, the first emotion I felt wasn't pride or excitement. It was loneliness. What changed for you? Lisa thought about this carefully. I think I learned the difference between being independent and being isolated. For a long time after our divorce, I told myself I was better off alone. I convinced myself that needing someone was a weakness. And now I realize that choosing to be with someone, really choosing them every day, that's actually the brave thing. It's scary to let someone matter that much again. Alex reached over and took her hand. It terrifies me. What does? The idea of trying again and failing again. Of hurting you again. Of getting hurt again. Lisa looked down at their joined hands. Alex, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Of course, I never stopped loving you, even when I hated you. Even when I was so angry I couldn't see straight. Even when I was signing the divorce papers. I never stopped loving you. Alex was quiet for so long that Lisa started to worry she had said too much. But when she looked up, she saw tears in his eyes. I need you to know something too, he said. Every relationship I've tried to have since you, I've sabotaged. Because nobody else was you. Nobody else laughed at my terrible jokes or remembered how I like my coffee or made me want to be a better person. Alex, I'm not saying this to pressure you or to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it because I think we both deserve to know the truth. Lisa felt something shifting inside her chest, like a door that had been locked tight was finally opening. So what do we do now? She asked. I don't know, but I know I don't want this evening to end. Lisa looked at Alex, really looked at him. This man who had been her husband, her best friend, her biggest heartbreak, and now… What? What were they to each other now? Neither do I, she whispered. Outside, the city continued its nightly rhythm, but inside Lisa's apartment, time seemed to slow down. They were no longer the people who had hurt each other 3 years ago, but they weren't quite ready to be something new either. They were somewhere in between, in that fragile space where anything was possible. The next day passed in a blur of text messages and careful conversations. Lisa found herself checking her phone every few minutes, smiling at Alex's messages about his conference sessions and the terrible hotel breakfast. Alex sent her pictures of interesting architecture around the city, remembering how she used to love his mini tours of urban design. By evening, Lisa was restless. She had changed clothes 3 times and rearranged her living room twice. The conversation with Alex the night before had opened something inside her that she couldn't close again. All day she had been thinking about what he said, about never stopping loving her, about sabotaging other relationships. She had done the same thing. Every man she had dated since Alex had been measured against him and found wanting. Not because they weren't good men, but because they weren't Alex. They didn't know that she always ordered dessert but never finished it. They didn't understand her need to read before bed. They didn't make her feel like the most interesting person in the room just by the way they listened. At 7 o'clock, Lisa made a decision that surprised even her. She grabbed her keys and headed for Alex's hotel. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt endless. Lisa's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She had no plan, no speech prepared. She only knew that she was tired of being careful, tired of protecting herself from possibility. She knocked on room 1423 before she could change her mind. Alex opened the door in jeans and a white t-shirt, his hair still damp from a shower. When he saw her, his eyes widened. "Lisa, is everything okay?" "No," she said. "Everything is not okay." Alex stepped back to let her in. His hotel room was neat and impersonal, just a bed, a desk, and a chair by the window. His laptop was open on the desk, architectural drawings scattered around it. "What's wrong?" Alex asked, closing the door behind her. Lisa turned to face him. "I spent all day thinking about last night. About what you said, about what I said. And I realized something." "What?" "I'm tired of being afraid." Lisa's voice was stronger now, more determined. "I'm tired of pretending that what we had wasn't special. I'm tired of convincing myself that I'm better off alone when every day feels like I'm missing a piece of myself." Alex stared at her. "Lisa, let me finish, please." She took a deep breath. "For 3 years I've been telling myself that our divorce was the right thing, that we were too different, that we wanted different things, that we were better apart. But that's not true, is it?" "What do you mean?" "I mean we didn't fail because we didn't love each other enough. We failed because we didn't know how to love each other better. We were 26 years old. Alex, we thought love was enough, and when it got hard, we didn't know what to do." Alex sat down on the edge of the bed, never taking his eyes off her. "But we're not 26 anymore," Lisa continued. "I know things now that I didn't know then. I know that love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice you make every day. I know that marriage isn't about finding someone who never frustrates you. It's about finding someone worth being frustrated with." "Lisa, where is this going?" "I don't know. And that's the point. I don't know what happens next, but I know I want to find out. With you." Alex stood up slowly. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying I want to try again. Not to go back to who we were, but to see who we could become. I'm saying that maybe we gave up too early, and maybe we both learned enough in the last 3 years to do better. And if we fail again, then we fail. But Alex, what if we don't? What if we're exactly what we both needed, just at the wrong time before?" Alex walked over to the window and looked out at the city lights. Lisa watched his reflection in the glass, trying to read his expression. "Do you know what I thought about all day?" he asked finally. "What?" "I thought about how different you seemed last night. Not different in a bad way, but stronger. More sure of yourself. When we were married, you used to apologize for everything, even things that weren't your fault. Last night you didn't apologize once." Lisa smiled. "Therapy helped with that." "You went to therapy?" "For 2 years. Best decision I ever made." Lisa moved closer to the window. "What about you? You seem different too." "Different how?" "Calmer, more present. When we were married, even when you were sitting right next to me, I could tell your mind was somewhere else. Last night you were completely there." Alex turned from the window to face her. "I learned how to turn off my phone. I learned how to say no to clients. I learned that working 16-hour days doesn't make you successful. It makes you exhausted. So we've both grown up." "It seems like it." They stood facing each other in the middle of the hotel room, the space between them charged with possibility and fear. "Lisa," Alex said softly, "if we do this, if we really try again, we have to do it differently." "I know. We have to promise to talk to each other instead of assuming we know what the other person is thinking. We have to promise to fight fair. We have to promise to choose each other even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." Alex reached up and touched her face gently. "Are you sure about this?" Lisa leaned into his touch. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Even though it's scary? Because it's scary. The best things always are." Alex smiled then. The first completely happy smile Lisa had seen from him since he walked into the hotel bar the night before. "Tell me you've been waiting for this," Lisa said softly, stepping closer to him. "I've been waiting for this," Alex whispered. "I've been waiting for you." Lisa reached up and kissed him then, and it was like coming home and starting an adventure at the same time. It was familiar and new, comfortable and thrilling. It was everything she had been missing and everything she had been afraid to want again. When they broke apart, Alex rested his forehead against hers. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Now we figure it out as we go." Together. Together? Alex repeated like he was testing out how the word felt. Are you okay with not having a plan? Alex laughed. The old me would have had a spreadsheet by now. But the new me? The new me thinks maybe the best things happen when you're brave enough to just jump. Then let's jump. And in that hotel room, surrounded by the lights of a city that held all their memories and all their possibilities, Lisa and Alex chose each other again, not because it was easy, but because it was right. Not because they had all the answers, but because they were finally ready to ask better questions. Outside, the world continued spinning, but inside room 1423, time stood still for two people who had found their way back to each other against all odds. The next morning, Lisa woke up feeling like the world had shifted on its axis. She and Alex had spent hours talking in his hotel room, planning and dreaming and figuring out what their second chance might look like. But now, in the clear light of day, reality was setting in. Alex's conference ended in 5 days. He had a life in Seattle, a job, an apartment, friends. Lisa had built a life here without him. They couldn't just pick up where they left off 3 years ago because they weren't the same people anymore. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alex. Good morning, beautiful.
Coffee in an hour?
Lisa smiled and typed back. Yes, but we need to talk about the practical stuff. I know. See you soon. They met at a small cafe downtown, the same one where they used to have weekend breakfast when they were married. The owner, Mrs. Chen, recognized them immediately. Alex, Lisa, together again? She beamed at them from behind the counter. Something like that, Lisa said, feeling her cheeks warm. They ordered their usual pancakes for Lisa, eggs and toast for Alex, and found a quiet table in the corner. So, Alex said, stirring sugar into his coffee. The practical stuff. The practical stuff. Lisa took a deep breath. You live in Seattle. I live here. Your job is there. My job is here. How exactly is this supposed to work? I've been thinking about that all night. And there's something I haven't told you yet. Alex looked nervous. I got a call yesterday from Richardson Architecture. They have an office here in the city. They want me to head up their new sustainable design division. Lisa's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. What? It's not official yet. I told them I needed to think about it. The salary is good, and the projects they're working on are exactly the kind of thing I want to be doing. But I turned it down because I didn't want to move back here and risk running into you everywhere. And now everything's different. Alex reached across the table and took her hand. Lisa, I want to take the job. I want to move back. But only if you want me to. Lisa stared at him. Alex, you can't make a major career decision based on me. What if this doesn't work out between us? Then I'll still have a great job in a city I love. But what if it does work out and you resent me for making you leave Seattle? Alex squeezed her hand. Lisa, I've been miserable in Seattle. The only reason I stayed was pride. I didn't want to admit that leaving here was a mistake. Even without me in the picture? Even without you. Although with you in the picture, it's not even a question. Lisa felt tears starting. I can't be the reason you uproot your whole life. You're not the reason. You're the excuse I needed to do something I should have done a year ago. They ate breakfast slowly, talking through all the logistics. Alex would need to give notice at his current job, find an apartment, deal with moving. Lisa would need to adjust to having him in the same city again, to the possibility of running into him if things went wrong. What about your friends in Seattle? Lisa asked. What about them? Won't you miss them? Alex shrugged. I have work friends there, but not really close friends. Most of my real friends are here. I never really put down roots in Seattle. Why not? Because it never felt permanent. Because some part of me was always planning to come back. After breakfast, they walked through downtown talking and planning. Alex showed Lisa the building where Richardson Architecture had their offices. Lisa pointed out the new restaurants and shops that had opened since he left. There's something else we need to talk about, Lisa said, as they sat on a bench in the park. What? Your family, my family. Our friends. Everyone is going to have opinions about us getting back together. Alex groaned. I hadn't thought about that. My sister is going to lecture me about repeating old patterns. Your mom is going to want to know if we're getting married again right away. Our friends are going to take sides. Do you care what they think? Lisa considered this. I care about their concerns. I don't care about their judgments. What's the difference? If they're worried about us hurting each other again, that's valid. If they think we're being stupid or impulsive, that's their problem. Alex nodded. We should probably tell people slowly. Start with the people we trust most. Agreed. They spent the afternoon at Lisa's apartment ordering takeout and watching movies like they used to do on lazy Sundays. But every few minutes one of them would bring up another practical concern. What about money? Lisa asked during a commercial break. What about it? When we were married, we shared everything. Now we both have our own accounts, our own debts, our own financial goals. How do we handle that? Carefully, Alex said. Maybe we keep things separate at first until we figure out what this looks like long term. That makes sense. What about living arrangements? Alex asked. Should I get my own place? Lisa had been wondering the same thing. I think so, at least initially. We need to learn how to be together again without jumping into sharing everything immediately. Plus, if I'm staying in your apartment all the time, when would you have space to miss me? Lisa laughed. Good point. Absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that. As the day wore on, they both started to relax. The practical concerns were real, but they weren't insurmountable. They were two adults with jobs and resources and the benefit of experience. They could figure this out. Alex, Lisa said as they were cleaning up after dinner. Yeah? Are you scared? Terrified. You? Same. Lisa dried her hands on a dish towel and turned to face him. But also excited. What are you most excited about? Lisa thought about this. Having someone to share things with again. Coming home and having someone to tell about my day. Having someone who gets my jokes. What about you? Having a reason to come home, Alex said without hesitation. Having someone who cares if I'm late, who notices if I'm stressed, who celebrates with me when good things happen. We're really doing this, aren't we? We're really doing this. They decided that Alex would call Richardson Architecture the next day and accept the position. He would go back to Seattle to give notice and pack up his apartment. Lisa would spend that time preparing emotionally for his return and maybe talking to a therapist about navigating a renewed relationship. How long do you think it will take you to move back? Lisa asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't have that much stuff and I can hire movers for the big things. That's not very long. It's long enough to make sure we both really want this. As Alex got ready to leave that evening, they stood at Lisa's door, neither wanting to say goodbye. This feels different than last night, Lisa said. How so? Last night felt like a dream. Today feels real. Alex kissed her forehead. Real is scarier than dreams. But better too. Much better. After Alex left, Lisa sat on her couch and looked around her apartment. In 2 weeks, everything would be different. Alex would be back in the city, looking for an apartment, starting a new job. They would be trying to build something together again. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. But as Lisa got ready for bed, she realized that for the first time in 3 years, she was truly excited about the future. Not just her future, but their future, together. 3 weeks later, Lisa stood in the arrivals area of the airport holding a sign that read, "Welcome home," and trying not to pace. Alex's flight from Seattle had landed 20 minutes ago, and she knew he was probably collecting his luggage and dealing with the chaos of moving his life across the country. The past 3 weeks had been a whirlwind. Alex had accepted the job with Richardson Architecture and given notice at his Seattle firm. He had sold most of his furniture, packed up his essentials, and found a temporary apartment just 10 minutes from Lisa's place. Lisa had spent the time in therapy, talking through her fears and expectations with Dr. Martinez, who had helped her through the worst parts of the divorce. Starting over with an ex-spouse is complicated, Dr. Martinez had warned. You have to resist the urge to fall back into old patterns while also honoring what worked between you before. Lisa had also told her sister Maya about the reunion. Maya's reaction had been exactly what Lisa expected. Are you out of your mind? Maya had asked over coffee. Lisa, that man broke your heart. You spent 2 years crying over him. And he spent 3 years being miserable without me, Lisa had replied. People change, Maya, we've both grown up. Or you're both making the same mistake twice, maybe, but Maya, I'd rather try and fail than spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Maya had eventually come around, especially after Lisa showed her some of Alex's texts from Seattle. He had sent daily updates about his packing progress, photos of his farewell dinner with colleagues, and long messages about how excited he was to start over. He does seem different, Maya had admitted, more thoughtful, less obsessed with work. He is different. We both are. Now standing in the airport, Lisa felt butterflies in her stomach. This was it. No more long-distance phone calls, no more text messages, no more planning for someday. Alex was moving back, and they were really going to try to make this work. She saw him before he saw her. Alex emerged from the gate area pulling a large suitcase and carrying a backpack, his eyes scanning the crowd. When he spotted Lisa and her sign, his face broke into a huge grin. "Welcome home," Lisa said as he reached her. "It's good to be home," Alex replied, dropping his bags to hug her. They held each other for a long moment, both aware that this hug was different from all the ones in the past 3 weeks. This wasn't goodbye, it was hello. This was the beginning of whatever came next. "How was the flight?" Lisa asked as they walked toward baggage claim. "Long, but worth it." Alex took her hand. "I kept thinking about how this time 3 weeks ago I was convinced I was going to live in Seattle forever. Do you regret leaving?" "Not for a second. Lisa, I haven't felt this excited about anything in years." They collected Alex's remaining bags and loaded them into Lisa's car. As they drove through the city toward Alex's new apartment, he pointed out all the changes since he'd been gone. "That used to be a parking lot," he said, gesturing toward a new office building. "They finished it last year, and that shopping center over there is completely new. It's like the city kept growing without me. Well, now you can help design the next phase." Alex's temporary apartment was small but nice, with big windows and hardwood floors. Lisa helped him carry his boxes upstairs, and they spent the afternoon unpacking and setting up his basic furniture. "This feels surreal," Alex said. "Hanging shirts in the closet? Good surreal or bad surreal?" "Good, definitely good. But surreal." He turned to look at her. "Lisa, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you having second thoughts?" "Now that I'm actually here?" Lisa set down the box she was holding and really considered the question. "No, are you?" "No, but I'm nervous." "About what?" Alex sat down on his bed. "About messing this up again. About falling back into old habits. About disappointing you." Lisa sat down next to him. "Alex, we're going to mess up sometimes. We're going to have arguments and misunderstandings and days when we wonder if we're crazy for trying this. That's not very reassuring. But we're also going to figure it out, because this time we know what we're risking. This time we know what it feels like to lose each other." Alex took her hand. "Promise me something." "What?" "Promise me that if you start feeling like we're repeating old mistakes, you'll tell me. Don't just pull away like before, I promise. But you have to promise me something too. Anything. Promise me you won't try to fix everything by working harder. When things get difficult, come toward me, not away from me. I promise." They ordered pizza for dinner and ate it sitting on Alex's floor, surrounded by boxes and talking about their plans for the weekend. Alex would start his new job on Monday. Lisa had arranged to take Friday off so they could go apartment hunting together. "I found a few places online that looked promising," Alex said, showing her listings on his phone. "This one's nice," Lisa said, pointing to a 2-bedroom near downtown. "Good location for both our jobs. 2 bedrooms? 1 for an office. You'll need space to work on projects at home." Alex smiled. "You really have thought of everything." "I've had 3 weeks to think." As the evening wore on, they both started to get tired. The reality of Alex's cross-country move and the emotional intensity of the past month was catching up with them. "I should probably go home and let you get settled," Lisa said, starting to gather her things. "Actually," Alex said, "would you stay? I know we said we were going to take things slow, but I don't want to spend my first night back in this city alone." Lisa looked around the apartment, with its boxes and bare walls and single bed. "Where would I sleep?" "We can share the bed. Just sleeping. I just want to wake up tomorrow morning and know this is real." Lisa considered this. They had been married for 4 years. They had shared a bed thousands of times. But this felt different, more significant somehow. "Okay," she said, "but I need to borrow a t-shirt." That night, lying in Alex's temporary bed in his temporary apartment, Lisa felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in years. Alex's arm was around her, and she could hear his steady breathing as he fell asleep. Outside, the city hummed with its usual nighttime energy, but inside the apartment everything was quiet and calm. "Alex?" she whispered. Thank you." "For what?" "For being brave enough to come back. For taking the risk." Alex tightened his arm around her. "Thank you for letting me." The next morning, Lisa woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of Alex moving around the kitchen. She found him standing by the window in jeans and a t-shirt, holding 2 mugs and looking out at the city. "Good morning," he said, handing her a cup. "Sleep okay?" "Better than I have in months." Lisa joined him at the window. "What are you thinking about?" "Just all of it. How strange life is. 3 weeks ago I thought I knew what my future looked like. Now everything's different. Better different?" Alex turned to look at her, and Lisa saw something in his eyes that she hadn't seen in years. Not just love, but hope. Real, honest hope for what they could build together. "Much better different," he said. As they stood there drinking coffee and watching the city wake up, Lisa realized that this was what she had been missing all along. Not just romance or passion or even love, but partnership. Someone to stand with at the window and watch the world go by. Someone to share the ordinary moments that make up a life. "So," Alex said, "ready to figure out what comes next?" Lisa smiled and took his hand. "Ready." And for the first time in 3 years, the future felt not just possible but bright.